Hi, in this video I'll be covering how to create a calendar table. When you're analyzing data where you've got dates, sometimes it's a good idea to create a calendar table that not only has a date, but a single column fields for the year, month, or day of the week. It helps then to show more detail in your data. You can create one directly in the Excel worksheet with functions, or you can use Power Query to make it more dynamic, like creating a rolling calendar table to auto-populate with the current date. Let's see how.
I'm going to go through 3 examples of how to create a calendar table from like a predefined date to today. And the easiest one is to use Excel, of course, Excel natively. So if I just put date, I'll just put a header here and I put maybe a date that is from the past. Now we can start with January 1st, 2020. And the easiest way to do this is to go to Home, go to Fill, Fill Series, and we can just fill it all the way down. So our series are in column, make sure we have our date, and let's just say we want to have our stop value at today's date. And that's going to be February 27th, 2022. Right? Click OK. It's going to fill it all the way down. You can see these hash marks, double click because there's not enough space here. So we have it filled all the way down, control down arrow, all the way down to February 27, 2022. And if we want to create a calendar table, like we have our year, we have our month, we have a day of the week, we have our different formulas. So I'm going to use the basic year formula, right? Type year and then select this value, click OK. It's 2020. And you see if I double click to fill it down, scroll all the way down, you get to 2021, and control down arrow, we get 2022, control home, let's take us up back to the top. And that gets a little bit laborious because if we want to create all the way out there to month and day of the week, it's a lot of work. But we can do it with our second example using Power Query. And it's easier to do, and it also becomes a little bit more dynamic. So let's go into Power Query to do that. To get into the Power Query editor, go to Data, and I'm going to do a new query. So I'm going to Data, get data from other sources, and blank query. And here I'll just type in a simple formula or simple function, and it's going to be equal number dot from, and we'll put the date, and we'll use the date function, and what we're going to start at 2020, the year, January 1st, first day of the January, and we're going to have that is our start, and our end dot our end period number dot from, and then date, same thing here, but now our end period will be today's date, 2022 February 27th. Press enter. You'll see that it gives you a bunch of numbers, and in Excel they see dates as serial numbers. So 43831 is a serial number equivalent of January 1st 2020, and then as it increments there's another big serial number that indicates February the 27th 2022. So this is a list. We need to turn it into a table so we can use our other functions in Power Query. So I will click the toTable function here, or command, and I'll select the defaults here, click OK. It turns into a table. You can see still the same numbers are there, but now we can change our data type. So we can click on that, change it to date, and we have our various dates. Now we can add our other columns, maybe year, maybe add a year column, and then maybe add a, click this again, I want the month column, and it gives you the numerical month. Let's get the month name, and we get that there, and that's January, and let's do maybe one more, maybe the day, and we've got our day, right? And if we scroll all the way down, you can see that it shows the different values of a date, and this is our calendar table. And if I want to put it into the worksheet, I click close and load to, I think I'll just do a new worksheet here, table, new worksheet, click OK. And it's going to create a new worksheet. You can see that if I control down arrow, you get today's date, 2/27/22, and you get our nice other values in a calendar table. You can build this out and use it for other things in our Power Query transformations. Control up arrow. But the thing about this is it's manual, right? So if I need to change it to a future today's date, like maybe March 1st or March 2nd, I have to go into the source and change that, right? How can we make that dynamic instead of having it manual? Well, here's our third example. I'll go to Data, get data from other sources. Let's do another blank query. And here, there's a couple steps. First, I'll have my source indicate my previous step, my from date. So I'm going to do equals date 2020, one for January, and then one for the 1st of January. Press enter, and it's going to give me that date in kind of a text format. So that's my first step here. I got to add a step now. So let's click the add step function here. And what I want to do, I want to combine a couple M functions, right? So this is going to be list.dates. So it's what it's going to do. It's going to list dates from, to, and then have it increment in certain durations, right? So list dates, the first argument is my source, right? My first date, which is that source date, that January 1st, 2020. The second one is going to be my end one. So to get that, remember that we had dates in Excel, they're represented by serial numbers. So we have to do today's date minus the source date and get the difference of those numbers, right? So to do that, we are going to use number dot from. So here we're going to put in another function, date time dot local now. I'll just click this to let it finish it for me. And this is very similar to the today function in Excel. Open parentheses, close parentheses. You don't need to put any values within the parentheses, within the opening and closing parentheses. And then click to get into that closing parentheses. And now I need to find the difference between the serial number of today's date minus the serial number of the source date. So that's going to be given by my second function, number dot from. From, I think capitalization doesn't really matter here. Number dot from, open parentheses, and that's going to be our source step. So I'm going to pull in the value from that source step, right? That 1/1/2020 date. And so that's going to bring that in. Now that's going to be comma, and then what's my increment? So I'm going to increment it by day. So that's going to be given by this function, duration, and I only need it to increment by 1 day, and the rest are zeros. And then close one parentheses, two parentheses, closes it, press enter, and now I have my list of dates. Now this is a list, I got to turn it into a table. Under my list tools, click to table, and it's going to turn it into a table. I'll accept the defaults here, click OK. I'll have the same format I had early. If I want to add years, I go to add column, go to date, add my years here. I can click my date again, maybe I'll add the month, I can add my months. And you can fill it out and start to add your calendar table. And the nice thing about this one is it's a rolling calendar table, because when we have the step in here, it's going to look at the date time of today, local now. So if we open it up tomorrow, a week from now, that local time from your computer will adjust here based on that function, and it'll become a rolling calendar table. So I'll just go to home, go to close and load. It's going to load it up into a new worksheet. And we see here we have those numerical values I mentioned earlier. This is what Excel is doing with the calculations. It's giving the delta between 43831, control down arrow, and the higher value, which is today's date, 44619, the serial number. If we don't want to see this in this format, we'll go back into the query 2 and we'll adjust the data types here. So turn that into data, turn that into a date, year, that's a number, that's fine. Click close and load, and when I go back into the sheet, it should adjust it. And I forgot to add the date header here, but this is how you would create a rolling date calendar table. And you can have all the different fields here to represent weeks or day of the week. So there's the 3 examples that we can create a calendar table. Of course, one in Excel, where you've got the formulas to do it, and then one in Power Query, where you have to manually put in the from and to dates, and then the third one where it becomes more of an automatic one, kind of like a rolling calendar table.
As you can see, creating a calendar table is not that hard, and it's useful information to help you do some additional analysis if you're comparing dates or want to do some date grouping in a more granular way. It takes a little bit of time to set it up, and it'll be useful in the long run. To see more Excel videos like this, click the banner at the end.